So,
Mhm.
um, cool. Fair amount to talk about today. I'm actually going to try something, which is I'm going to share my desktop. See, oh, that didn't work so well. What I was trying to do was share my desktop such that I'd have my split screen because I was playing with the split screen and it doesn't work so well. So uh, I will switch that. Uh, there will be an error. So it's good to hear that from that perspective. Um, Next thing I want to do is just kind of briefly say thanks for all the hard work for everyone. We hit our hiring goal, which was awesome for the first quarter. I know that it oftentimes sounds like I'm beating the drum about our challenges, but reality is we actually have done pretty well, and I'm really happy with how we've been doing overall. The other thing is increasing throughput. But if there's other things that we should kind of talk about, it's a good time for us in the week in the review to kind of mention that. So if you have thoughts, either verbalize them now or put them in the document here, and then I'll try to make sure I get a summary in. I just want to make sure I don't remember things. Don't worry, it's just because I want us to get better, not because we're not doing a good job from that perspective. Cool. Next one I got on the list was around the FE benchmark update. So we merged particularly around hiring and the fact giving ourselves a C because it seems like we have some data around that we can basically pull together to put a proposal through. So the real question was is who's driving this and how do we think we should approach this? So was kind of my main question. And I didn't know if you want to take this one or what your thought process was.
Yeah, I'm happy to take it. I would love to chat with Tim a bit more about this because, as Eric indicated in the issue, Tim has been, the main driver in his previous role for hiring on the front end. So I would like to pick at his brain at just to get ideas. But I think we should move forward. There's also as I'm diving deeper into hiring front end, both managers and ICs, I'd like to pull together some data from the managers around the skill set, how are we up leveling hiring and so on and so forth. So I also want to make sure that similar to what we did on the back end, which is we brought the benchmark higher, but we also made the expectation for the hires much clearer. Our technical interview was revamped and so on. This would be also another good point to get, information from Tim and other front end managers around. So all that to say, I'm happy to take this on. I may raise a flag based on my time to get some help, but I'll start with Tim and go from there.
Okay, yeah, and that's where what I'm really looking for is if you need to delegate out certain components of it to Chun or myself or Bartek, let's talk about that and try to figure out how best to do that. But let's have you drive it just from a perspective of overall what data we need to pull together and what additional things you think artifact wise. And then if Tim needs to help us with revamping front end hiring to kind of better reflect that, I'm very comfortable to also be involved in that, review it from that perspective. Cool.
Great.
All right. Next one is we had the architecture review issue. I just was kind of checking to see if we thought we were good with the strategy of basically putting it on the development board and basically calling meetings, I'll say ad hoc. If we see them happening frequently enough, I may then just put a marker in for it. But it feels like we're kind of at that point where we should kind of push that aspect. Chun, you're saying, well, first of all, is everybody comfortable with that? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay.
Yeah, I like this. It's lightweight. I like the idea of the Slack channel. We can always iterate from there, but keeping it light and async, I think would be good. And we can, revisit if we still see gaps. The other thing I was going to mention is I attended and Sean, you were there, the infrastructure DNA meeting. And that's like, from what I see, it seems like another great forum, especially when we're trying to collaborate across our departments. So we can use both resources depending on what feedback we need.
Sounds great. Yeah. So
go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll go ahead and take the actions there. It's just the last item I didn't mention in the issue is what is the channel or the place to make announcement of this little process so that people are aware of it. I mean, directors, anyone on that issue are aware of it, but what is the right audience that we can announce this little change?
So two things. One, we've documented it in the issue, but we should get it as an MR into the handbook itself. I'm not sure the best place to put that. Probably maybe the top line development page if there's an architecture section, or look for an architecture section in the handbook. And then, the best place to announce it is in development. And I was actually wondering if we should keep the architecture discussions within development. It doesn't feel like that's separated enough of a topic that it feels like, rather than creating another channel that everybody has to monitor, putting it in development would be the best place.
Okay.
Unless, Dahlia, you have a better suggestion?
No, the only thought coming to mind is I'm just wondering if development is too chatty. Like Slack tends to be that way, and that's like the feedback I get. And me personally, it's been really hard to keep up with all conversations. So that's my worry if we use the same channel.
Okay, so I'm good with that. Create a new one, or is there another alternative we should be thinking about?
I mean, the other thing, maybe I'll throw this idea out there, is that we can mention it in development, but the conversation continues in the issue, and we can create a board that filters on that label. So the board would be the source of truth here, and then people would get mentioned in the issue, and we go from there.
Yeah. So my intention is to make an announcement in the development channel so everyone is aware of this this new process. And I do create another channel for this specific topic. So everything goes to that channel.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking we would just take the architecture reference label and then put it on the development board, so it'd actually be listed there.
Yeah, I will do that. Arc review. I proposed.
Kind of look at it.
Yeah. I propose the arc review label. I will create that, then tag the issues with that label.
Cool. And then just to add on from a communication, so Chan, whenever you're ready to communicate this out, add it to the to Eric's week in review. That's one good way to highlight it. Sometimes we also mention these on the company call. So if it is, like as we put it together, I think that's a significant change in our process that is worth mentioning in the company call. So that could be another forum. But we're basically, Eric calls it multimodal communication, and I agree with him. We kind of do our best to mention it in as many places as we can.
Okay, cool. We good there?
Yeah.
All right, good. Thanks everybody for getting in their OKRs. I put the issue up there just because from that perspective. The one aspect there are two aspects I've seen so far. One is that we have 43 hires. If you go down and accumulate all the teams. And I think in our actual spreadsheet, we only have 42 currently for the quarter. Chen, you have 12. Is it all right if I assume one head from fulfillment is off of there to back it off to 42, or do you think you need the 12?
I can make 12. I'm projecting I can hire 12.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the offer we just sent all out is counted in that 12, not in Q1.
Okay. All right. Well, we're a little bit ahead in Q1, actually, believe it or not. So what I'll do then is I'll actually update the plan. I need to actually submit to Chase anyways an updated suggestion around the plan. And what I'll do is I'll add one additional one into the last month of the quarter. I'm going to be shifting up some anyways to see if it does significant monetary change to his budget and whether he needs to talk with the board or Eric around that aspect. So,
okay.
Cool. that works for me. I'll just add it for that perspective. We'll see how it kind of pans out. All right. And then the other aspect is that I think we've gotten somewhat consistent, but we still have a little bit more work to do. If you created the issue, that's great. Updating the page to reflect that with the link to the issue is also beneficial from that perspective, just so that people can go in and look and update it. That way we don't have to update the page every time we either have to change the language or the status of things relative to it. The other thing that is along with that I'm not sure how best to do, because I think we have most of them, is we're trying to target, I think Eric was saying Friday for scoring. I know that some items will come in later than that, but if we can get at least the first draft of scoring in by Friday, it'd be appreciated around that. That's for Q1 OKRs. Does that make sense? Cool. And Friday is the first Friday. It's the first Friday in May. So just FYI, in case anybody's forgotten, Cinco de Mayo is right around the corner. Retro performance. Kind of want to open this up to see if there was feedback around this. I know we've gone in the issue and talked a little bit about it, but I think there's a difference between volume and prioritization. The difference is like how many we can potentially do in a given. When I looked at least across the board, there are definitely cases where we have volume issues where one person gets like, say, 3 or 4 retro items, but there is a pretty good spread and we have a pretty large team. So I was trying to figure out, Eric's got me asking for something actionable that we can push to product around this, but I don't know if either of you has feedback around, is the fact that we're not pushing product to prioritize this hard enough? Is it that we're just forgetting about it after we leave the retro discussion? Is it, is it something else that potentially, or, the volume is kind of the other aspect? And I don't know if we have feedback.
I don't. I mean, to be honest, I haven't had a chance to kind of dive in and see why we weren't able to necessarily move on this. My gut tells me that it's more around assigning owners. But like I said, I need to spend some time to take a look at it. I think once we have an owner, and if it can be a manager, that might be the way to do it. But basically, the manager would be responsible for coordinating with product on prioritization, defining the issue to the smallest deliverable, and so on and so forth. But sorry, I don't have more to offer. I just wanted to spend some time looking at it, just didn't get a chance.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It was more of just like, I was trying to figure out like if, like I had the suspicion that the problem is we're trying to be good managers and we're used to the, hey, there's 20% of our budget that's for tech debt and we manage it throughout with that, right? From that perspective. Whereas this is more of, if we want to prioritize this is important, we have to go basically argue about it. And that takes time and effort. And also is, maybe lower on our list. Cause like some of the things seem pretty straightforward from at least from an execution perspective. There's, somebody focused on it for a day to get it done, which, if that's going to improve our process, then that's an important thing to do. If it's not, then we probably shouldn't be listing it. That's why I'm almost like drive to closure kind of is my thought process around it. But if we haven't figured out that aspect, that's fine. I will, what I'm probably going to do is actually set up a board around that just to try to push that with product to start the discussion independent, because I can see that being problematic regardless. So just FYI from that perspective.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, once you get these issues on the board, it'll be really easy to see how many are unassigned and how many have owners. And then we can, debug further, talk to the owners and see what are some of the bottlenecks to get, some of this moving. So I'm happy to help with that too, if you need to, but I feel like once we get the board, we'll have a good visual that we can go off of.
Okay. All right. Let me take an action to get the board created, because then we'll have a better aspect to it.
Yeah, that'll be great. And I'm pretty much on the same boat with Dalia. I need to dig out what's happening on my teams that identify the retro items, but lagging behind on the follow-up.
Okay. And full disclosure, 2 of them are assigned to me. I didn't do anything on them last month. So I will take responsibility as well. This is not This is everybody's involved, not any one particular person. Cool. All right, and then let's see here. We got two more for me. I know it's a busy morning of me talking. One is just FYI. This is more of an FYI, but I did want to mention it. I am looking to load balance. We've gone from 2 to 4 directors, and it feels like it's a good time for us to have discussions around, are we balanced correctly? I know that Chun and Bartek have only been here for roughly a month, but congratulations, you're an old-time director. Your longevity is now officially over a month, and you probably need to look at how we balance it. In particular, I was thinking about it in regards to the fact of Tim.
Yeah.
Tim, I don't want the maintainer job to only fall on one director. I'd like it to rotate. So I think it's a good time for us to kind of talk about it on a quarterly basis. And then Dahlia owns 4 subdepartments, which feels a little bit heavy relative to everybody else owning one. So I want to see if there's a way we can do that. So Dahlia, you and I can talk in our one-on-one if you think that's the right breakdown or whatever we think. But Chun also be thinking about if there's something in particular that you think you can help on. That's an aspect. And Bartek, when he sees this video later today, he can think about it as well from that perspective. Cool. And then I had the next one, which is around the director hiring update. So we have 2 candidates in team interview. One we're close to hopefully pushing to exec, though we'll have to see what the results of the final team interview are before evaluating that. We also have a pretty good pipeline in regards to fiber and screening. And secure and defend, we have one in final review on Friday. It's a little bit of an interesting case in and of itself. And then 2 additional ones that we've got in team interview and 5 in screening. So pipeline feels okay. It's taken us longer. I was hoping to close one additional director in April. That didn't happen. So trying to continue to see what I can do to maybe close 2 in May. And then, 1 mid-year, June from the perspective. And then Chun, you have a last item.
Yeah, the portal, just to update customer portal work, the scoping is done. It's huge. So we're going to prioritize the thing and plan accordingly, but we do need a globalization, at least one engineer from one backend engineer from some team to work on it together. I'm also trying to clarify the impact to current roadmap of fulfillment. Looks like some items was already on the roadmap, but maybe there are some net new. Another feedback I heard is, so James, of course, is me too. It came as a short notice. It's just, and we don't have any context except that issue. So we probably need to do a little bit of retro and see how the communication could be done better, because this all of a sudden popped up on our radar. So and no context.
Yeah, and full disclosure, it wasn't on my radar either. And then I saw Eric make a comment about, we had this prioritized in February. I think what he's trying to push on there, though, is the prioritization from product in regards to if this was really important to them, they would have raised it to us sooner as an issue that we would have started kind of global optimization around. Yeah. We didn't have global optimization 3 months ago. So from that perspective, we just, as part of the retro, you may want to kind of talk about, like, how do we make sure that, as these issues come up, we're considering them sooner than later from the perspective. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thanks for that update. I think we're going to have to probably start getting, I think up to this point, everybody's been using global optimization where they think in terms of, hey, this is the skill set and I know this person over here does it. So then that's the person who kind of gets volunteered. This may be one that's a little bit different, but if you have familiarity with a particular part of the code base that you need from a backend perspective, understanding that context would help us then figure out best candidate from that discussion. But it may also be we just take from the area that we feel is the strongest and pull a person, even if that means they have to get started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, next step for me is to start finding the right candidate for this. Okay. For this project. And also forgot another update, the growth team's globalization. I'm still trying to sort out if anyone from my team can help the growth team. I broadcasted in our channel, but haven't heard back from anyone. No one volunteered so far. I'm going to follow up again. Yeah, I'm trying to Yeah, it's a little bit hard because the distribution team is not familiar with the Rails code base, and the skill set also is a little bit far away. But the Geo team, I'm trying to follow up with Rachel, but so far I haven't heard any volunteers.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks for that feedback. All right. Is that all we've got today?
Yeah.
All right.